Hello everyone. It has been a minute since I last spoke with you guys. Apologies, I was busy getting married. That went very well. I'm very happy with how things are. I'm happy to be married. I'm thankful for everyone that came out to my special day, but I'm sure you guys, are more interested in the lift. But we'll get into that in a second. I wanted to go over kind of a new way I'm going to be recording these videos. And before, I was kind of recording them in mass and then just dropping them every 2 days. So I would train every 4 days, rest, train 4 days, rest. And every video releasing every 2 days, I would get ahead of my gym schedule. And now I would like to switch to more of a kind of like a live release. So record the video, release it a day or two after, just so it's kind of more, up to date instead of getting 4 to 5 days out. So if I record a video, it's not being dropped like 5 or 6 days after the workout actually happened. So video releases will be a little bit fewer, but I think this will be a little bit more fun for me. And if it doesn't work out, then I might go back to the old way. But the new split has started. I know I mentioned I was going to be changing things up a while back, but I started yesterday, and the primary focus of this new plan is to grow my quads and my shoulders. So some things will be kind of on the maintenance, while some things will be pushed a little bit harder. So the way I have the split set up is Monday is a full leg day, so hamstrings into quads, and I'm doing 8 sets of hams, 8 sets of quads. And then today, which is chest and shoulders, side delts specifically, we're going to be doing 10 sets of chest and then 6 sets of side delts. And then I'll rest, and then the day after will be quads and then side and rear delts. The next day will be back and rear delts, and then we'll have an arm day. So kind of maintaining my strong points, which are chest, back, and arms. And then hamstrings are just kind of on maintenance right now. And then once the quads catch up, then I'll put more hamstring volume in. But I've never done kind of like a strict program like this. I wouldn't even say it's really strict. I'm not assigning movements or reps per set. It's kind of based off of how I feel that day. Majority of sets will be 8 to 12 reps, of course, to induce hypertrophy, but we'll be doing a set amount of sets per workout. And this is just so I can modulate my volume more, also to kind of have a better grasp on recovery, because that's something I didn't do before, where I would just kind of go by how I felt that day. So one day I might do like 15 sets of quads, which is insane. And then the next quad day I might be kind of fatigued and I might only get 8. So my volume was all over the place. So with this, if my quads aren't really growing, I can throw an extra quad set in there on one day or both days, and then reassess from there. So this is kind of going to give me more control over my program, and I'm not recommending this program to anyone. This is just something I'm experimenting with, and something I recommend that anybody does is, if you're making your own program, don't do it for a week and then just throw it out the window because you didn't like it. Try it out for a month, maybe 2, see what works and see what doesn't, and then adjust from there. I think a big mistake a lot of lifters make is they try something out and some things work and some things don't. But if the thing doesn't work as a whole, they just throw out the whole idea. So definitely looking for what works here. The bulk hasn't started yet. That should start within a couple weeks for sure. We're going to assess this weekend to see where I'm at. Definitely did a little bit of damage over the weekend. I wasn't going to stay on plan during my wedding. That would just be criminal. Happens once in a lifetime. And I'm not going to stick to my plan. I'm sorry. Might not be the most hardcore bodybuilder, but I do value my relationship, and having some quality time does include eating some good food, in my opinion. But let's focus on what's at hand, which is chest. Not too sure what I'm starting with. I'd like to start with cable flies because I would like to try experimenting more with a pre-exhaust type exercise. I've kind of struggled to activate my pecs on pressing movements. That's why I've been starting on the machine bench as opposed to a more traditional barbell, incline barbell, or an incline dumbbell. So, but it is the evening, and my gym typically tends to be pretty packed during the week. So we'll see if we have any luck. If we're able to find a part in the Red Sea with the cable machines, we'll definitely take that opportunity. But I'm not going to bank on that yet. So we might start with the incline machine bench or the Smith machine, my unconfessed love for the Smith machine. But yeah, I'm really excited to see how this program goes. I initially had so I have calves in every workout, just 4 sets, which it comes out to about 20 sets per week, which that's something I want to bring up. And in my opinion, I think calves are going to grow from stimulus throughout the week instead of stimulus once or twice a week and just blowing the crap out of them. I just never found success with that. I did that for years, and they never really grew. And then I switched to doing them daily, and they started to grow. So I'm going to stick with that. So not including calves, I had about 20 sets per workout amongst the 2 body parts. So that averages about 10 sets per body part. But I was thinking about it a little bit. That's a lot of time in the gym. And a lot of new lifters, and I'm guilty of this myself, typically go in with the mindset of more is better. But if you think about it in terms of a recovery sense, if you just obliterate your whatever muscle you're hitting in 8 sets, you can do some good damage for sure. But then by the next time you go in, you'll be recovered, and you can do the same amount of sets and get the same amount of damage. Now, this also comes into the just tweaking things if they need to be adjusted over time. Starting with less is a better idea than starting with more, because if it's not working, I can just add more instead of taking away. So I'd rather start off kind of being like, that wasn't enough. I'm not going to go hard, but I think you get what I'm saying. You guys are pretty smart. But that being said, there's nothing left to do but to get in the gym and just start blasting chest. And that concludes another chest day. We definitely went Darth Sidious mode today in the gym, hoodie up, all black, headphones in, locked in. It was a good lift. And I'm excited to get back to this style of training. Unfortunately, it is true. The posing portion of the video is gone. Now, I'm not going to say it's gone forever, but they're not going to be in every video from here on out. And that's just because I kind of want to keep the physique a little bit of a surprise. I want to do kind of like a reveal maybe halfway through or towards the end of the bulk, but that's neither here nor there. You guys can cry about it. It's not going to come back until I decide. But something I wanted to talk about is the way that people train, and I've definitely done this too, and you should always be looking to improve the way that you train. And I talk to some people and I hear some people saying, oh, I train like this guy, or I train like this pro, or, you know, X influencer, things like that, yada, yada. Nothing wrong with that. It's totally okay, especially if you're a beginner and you don't know what to do. It's good to find somebody that you kind of resonate with and find a training style that, you know, works for you. But at some point, you're kind of going to have to move on from that. And what I'm trying to get at is, if you want to train like Chris Bumstead's perfect example, right? You might have a similar physique to him, similar build, similar training style, similar mentality, but Chris Bumstead's training is Chris Bumstead's training, and you're not Chris Bumstead, no matter how bad you want to be. Now, there are things that you can learn from his training that you can apply to yours, but you're different than Chris Bumstead, and we want to be the best version of ourselves. So, although what he's doing is perfect, and he's been the champ 4 times, that's what works for him. So, at some point, you're going to have to start doing a little bit of experimentation to find what works for you. Because in order to find your best physique, your best style of training, you're not going to be able to do everything that he does, because even if you have, like, you could have 99% similarities to his physique and all other aspects of training, like training style, you know, all other sciencey stuff. There's still 1% that's different, and you're going to want to go find that. So, you know, there's great people out there, Branch Warren, Ronnie Coleman, that train hard as balls. They're just screaming, you know, lifting heavy-ass weight, throwing it around. Then you have people like Jay Cutler, or other people that utilize more volume, stuff like that. They still train hard, but there's more than one way to skin this cat, and they clearly found what works for them. And there's a bunch of other factors that come into play, like genetics and all that fun stuff. But don't be afraid to experiment. I think a lot of people, you know, kind of, when they get into that more intermediate stage, they kind of get this sense like, okay, I found what works for me. I got out of the newbie gains and I put on some good muscle, and then they get kind of stuck. And I think it's because they don't ever try to go outside of their comfort zone. They don't want to, you know, change anything because they're afraid they'll lose what they already have. But the thing to remember is that if you're training at 100%, even if you try something new, I always say training 100% with a flawed program is going to be better than training at 70% with a perfect program. And that's the logic you should have at all times. So you might make a change to your training program, and it might not be completely optimal on paper, but for you, there's really no way, unless somebody's just like, you know, doing an entire scientific study on you, that you're going to find the perfect program for you. So you have to go out and find it yourself. And realistically, if you're growing year after year, your training is changing every year. and you're finding little tweaks. And I'm not saying you completely revamp your training style, but you're constantly adding things or taking away things from those base, you know, training styles that work for you. Some people can build great physiques just grip it and rip it style, whereas for me, I'm kind of more of a slow and controlled, and then I'll sometimes throw in some intense sets, you know, just so I can get that kind of extra intensity out. And it really just depends on the day or how I'm feeling. And you know, it's not always good to train by how you feel, because some days we don't feel like being in the gym and we just have to go hard. But then there are days where, you know, you feel like you can give a little extra, and maybe you should. So definitely don't like feel like you have to stick to whoever it is that you idolize, their training program or whatever, to a T. You can definitely mix and match a bunch of different styles together and find what works best for you. But yeah, I'm super excited to work on this new program of mine and find new ways to improve my physique and find better ways to improve my training program. And I think you guys should do the same. So with that being said, well, I'm not going to end the video right now because I'm getting onto an entrance ramp and I don't want to fly off, and it's dark outside and I have my light on, which, if you don't know, is illegal. I'm just kidding. I hope you know I'm joking, but it's hard to see outside my window, so I'm just going to play it safe and wait until I get on the road, the straightaway, so I don't have to fly off and potentially end my lifting career. But with that being said, we are now safe on the road, and yeah, get some gains, experiment in the gym. Don't stick to the same thing all the time unless it's working. If it's working, stick to it. At this point, I'm just rambling. So see you later.